in the den of iniquity. Vicinity no pretty, calamity fi hit we any moment. What a pity. Tomorrow never certain. What dwells behind the curtain? The face of evil smirking with that shifty eyes averting. It's not a steady bubble that either pop or topple. Many will fall and stumble. Let the dozers gather rubble. From LA to Colorado, Guinea to Burkina Faso. Cannons will breach the towers and the troops will storm the castle. Hey, I say, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. So run, come, make we get it. Calling all your daughters and your sons, we come forget it. I say, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. Lord, run, come, make we get it. Calling all your daughters and your sons, we come forget it. With the rubble steady rising, and hearts are compromising. Convictions here are stifling, making evil appetizing. The fists are steady forming, and countenance is falling. Defenses are withdrawing, possibilities are falling. In these your circumstances, evil will make advances. Pick up your sword and lances, and be sure to take your stances. Victory is never promised, the battle is upon us. Gather the brave and honest, and the righteous in your corners.
Yes. Word 'em up. Welcome to another episode of Case Closed, coming live and direct Sunday. It is 4 p.m. Eastern, and we're going to be talking about the Passport Bros. We're taking a flight into space to get our needs met, aren't we? Here they are. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, go ahead and click that like button. Click the share button. Okay, share the stream. We're going to talk about what the benefits are of this. Why are Passport Bros shamed generally? Why are they generally seen as sex tourists, educated lames, or maybe uneducated lames, or and whatnot, perhaps taking advantage of ashy foot women out there, and the women are taking advantage of them in turn because they want a green card or whatever it may be. And for those of you who do not know what all this is about, Passport Bro, what's a Passport Bro, what we talk about, we will break it all down, okay? But I'm going to start this in a rather unusual way. Dr. Thunder, if your son, okay, in 10 years, shows up with a passport, he comes through and he slaps it down on the table. It's like, Dad, I'm checking out. I want to go explore my options and all that kind of stuff. What would be your reaction? Any advice? What would you do?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'd have much criticism of that. I mean, I try to raise him with a certain sense of values. So my hope would be that he wouldn't be doing that for some of the perhaps usual reasons. Yeah, so, paying for peace leave and all that. Yeah, that wouldn't be the reason. But especially by then, with the way that things are getting worse and worse in the dating market here, and in particular in the Black community, I would totally understand why he would want to explore his options elsewhere. If I was not currently married, I don't know that marriage would be, unless it was not a legal marriage, and unless it was someone from not from the West. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of criticism, I think, that goes goes to folks that want to try to find somebody from a different country, because the thought is that they're just trying to take advantage of someone that is poor, and X, Y, and Z. Now, even if that were the case, that you find a woman that finds what it is that you offer as a good deal, they find it to be very attractive. I'm not sure what the issue with that is. That's been something that has existed, amongst human beings forever. But what seems to be the case is that in our community, just like with age gap dating and marriage, Black men take a lot of criticism for going abroad. And then, of course, we get the insults like, well, you just can't handle a, American Black woman, like this. Like, I want to handle anything. I want someone that's going to help develop a legacy, not someone that I have to handle. So I could understand why my son would want to, in this hypothetical scenario that you painted, why he would want to explore his options. I would encourage him to go about it the safe way. There's some resources that suggest, there's certain locations to try to avoid in
Mhm.
certain countries, and you don't want to appear like a mark. You want to try to get educated about the customs in that country, the language. Go to a country that you speak the language.
Mhm.
Do some studying about the folks from that part of the world, because otherwise, they're not going to take you seriously either. So
Hmm.
yeah, that would be my thought.
Got it. So no hard feelings. Understand the reasons why. Gave him values. Hope he will adhere to those and not go off the rails. And then give him some advice and send him on his way. All right. That's a good one. So LAR, how about you? I don't know if you have a son or daughter or whatever, but let's your hypothetical son in the hypothetical future. He's a passport bro. You gonna look at him with a side eye or what?
I would probably say something like, "Son, you ain't even getting on here, so I don't know why you going there in the first place." Uh, but you know, I tell him go have fun and enjoy yourself, but don't approach it like you're going somewhere where the people may be poorer than you, but they're dumber than you because they're not. So go have fun, enjoy the people, enjoy the experience. If you meet somebody, cool. If you don't, cool. It's a nice experience, but
Mhm.
don't go there and make it a fantasy that you can finally get catered to the way you want to, because you might you got to understand it's fair exchange out there too.
I see.
So
What you just mentioned about the poorer than you, they're not, but not dumber than you, is an interesting thing, and perhaps you can talk about it, Dr. Thunder, because you also brought it up, saying that there is a stereotype that someone is going to take advantage of poorer people, as though that was ever always any like a bad thing, like you people marry poor people in the United States, right?
Yeah, it's called
Um,
leverage. It's called leverage.
yeah,
And
I mean,
yeah, only dumb people don't take advantage of natural leverage that they have. Only total
indeed.
idiots don't. And well, either total idiots or people that have bought into some sort of sense of immorality or something associated with with natural leverage that you have. I mean, if you can imagine, all of us have certain natural abilities, things that we've been given. Not taking advantage of leverage, even in this sort of context, would be like, well, I have this natural ability, but I don't really want to, really want to do that because it's unfair. It gives me an unfair advantage. I need to beat them out. Even like I need to have no ability, no natural ability, and develop. It'll be like that, and it's just, come on. It's just
Mm,
totally ridiculous. Leverage is the way that the game is played, and frankly, women are also using their leverage. They're using their leverage uh, against us. Most of us, though, it takes until we get a little older to figure out that some of the stuff that we perceived as leverage, uh, you know, as them having a particular advantage or them having an asset that was very much desirable, that changes as we get older. It changes because their assets tend to depreciate. Okay. I'm not talking about their humanity. They're still full human beings, just like we're full human beings, from the womb to the tomb. Okay. So that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just saying, with respect to the ability to procreate, with respect to natural beauty, X, Y, and Z, usually the tendency to be more fit, all of that kind of stuff is at its highest when they're younger. And for us, it's low. And we have to build our value. We have to develop into something. So it's totally ridiculous that when we do get to the point where we have something that is of value, that now we're supposed to just trade it for something that is not valuable to the end that we desire. right? It doesn't make any sense. So if the answer to that puzzle is to get a passport, then get your passport.
LAR, is there some kind of implied, like, why do people always go to the poor thing before, other than the obvious thing that a lot of the shaming is just as a result of jealousy and some other type of thing? That's what shaming typically is about, right? It's rare that someone really is concerned about you and they're going to sit you down and be like, you need to watch out for these 3 things or whatever the fuck. But the whole everyone is poor and destitute and stupid outside is that, I mean, that's an American stereotype that Americans think everyone is that way. Is it still true that because it's kind of obvious in terms of the reaction that they have to passport bros, that once you cross the border of the United States, it's just ashy feet, dirty, poor people to be taken advantage of out there. What's going on with that, LAR?
Unless you go to Europe, Canada, or Australia.
Oh, where the white people are. Okay.
There you go. No white people. This is horrible. So that's the thing. But also it's one of those things where, okay, let me say it this way. For most people in America, you've had family in the military. And you've had family in the military who had stories of going, whatever war back in the day. Some guys came back, some guys didn't. And that didn't have nothing to do with the war. They just met somebody like, I like it over here more than I do back home, and I'm not coming back. So you have guys who you've had those stories since I was a child. I heard those. But what winds up happening is like so the anchor babies, or the when I used to tell guys, if you leave this ship with one bag, you come back with one bag. You don't come back here with a bag, a girlfriend, and a baby, because people are doing that. So a lot of this comes from that, but also a lot of people are projecting. Because what they do when, people don't want to talk about people, there are a lot of hedonistic people that travel. And there are a lot of people who are hedonistic in America who didn't really travel, but they would take their hedonism worldwide the first opportunity they got. So they're assuming that you're going to do what they would do. So, and you see it in America. You see it, spring breaks, Essence Fest, those Tom Joyner cruises, adult cruises, the adult events, the homecoming weekends, that people coming back to college, and people's class reunions, just people up in a hotel smashing each other for 20-year-old time's sake because they wish they would have did it. They take that mentality and take it abroad and think, well, if I'm doing this here, you would do that there. So it's a lot of projection.
So we got Uncle Stu in the building. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I got Grump in the chat. We got Kaizoria in the chat. We got Greg, Sake Amethyst. Make sure you guys are clicking that like button and also sharing the stream. Yeah, share it on your channel, share it on your group chat or whatever else it may be. Okay, and also hit that super chat. Hit the super chat, hit the Cash App, all that good stuff. Ask your questions. As to the question, Mr. Stu, your son is a passport bro. Okay, I don't know if you have a son or not. I don't know how old he is, but hypothetically,
I do.
you a passport bro. I'm just kidding. So, he's a passport bro. What do you say to him? He says, Dad, I tried, but I think that I really want to explore my options and be out there, and or perhaps he has gone out there and he met somebody in that whole world. What is your general reaction if this is a personal thing in your house, your son?
It's simple. I've traveled the world twice over. So I know exactly what is out there. I always will tell any man to get a passport and go travel and see the world. I always recommend seeing the world because I want you to understand the multitudes of culture, the multitudes of the social politics that is surrounded in various countries. I would always tell you at least visit 1 or 2 countries in the continent of Africa so that you can see, oh, excuse me, so that you can see that, number one, Africa doesn't have a bunch of, naked people running around in huts. They actually got cities and cars and international trade and business, and they're done by people that look just like you. Um, so I would definitely always tell someone to get a passport and be able to travel and see that aspect. Um, totally agree with LAR. You know, I also was in the military, so I know exactly how black people are treated. Yes, I am very familiar of black men in World War II who went to Germany, and some men didn't come back, and that was Germany. Um, so I have seen it over and over. So this is, to me, this is nothing new. African American women has been doing it since the 90s. When you talk about passports, there's more black women who got passports than black men. So this, to me, when I'm seeing black men who don't have to join the military and go overseas, you know, I would say this is definitely brand new, but it's not a new idea. Um, this goes all the way back to Marcus Garvey talking about going overseas. This goes back when Malcolm X went overseas. This goes back when Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier went overseas. This goes back when Dr. King went overseas. So I don't see how this is a new phenomenon. As far as dating overseas, we have to remember that the slave trade was huge. You know, the slave trade didn't just go from West and Central Africa straight into America. It went to the islands. It went down to Brazil. So I think we have a tendency to forget that black people is all over the world. Um, Whether they came from all over the world through Africa, or you got many African Americans that left America and has traveled abroad and stayed there. So yes, I would definitely tell my son to go if he was, you know what I'm saying, needing to learn. Definitely go with your options. Definitely go over there. Make sure you understand the culture. Make sure you understand the language. Because if you understand the culture and the language, then you'll be able to move. Get connected with someone that has already built a foundation over there. You have a lot of people that are Americans, but they was, you know, I'm gonna use your country, born in Nigeria. That's how I ended up traveling to Lagos, Nigeria, because I knew a Nigerian, and it wasn't just, you know, we didn't even have the internet. He was a Nigerian living in New York. Always told me about Nigeria. I think the only language I know how to say now is Sheila Fiani and Akdukba, but you know, I learned something, and I ended up going to what they call Little New York, which was Lagos. So I got a chance to see Nigeria a little bit. Um, and we ended up coming back. Now, he was the tour guide
Yep.
because again, he wanted to make sure that I was safe. As he told me, the American dollar was like, I think, 22 naira at the time. You know, so it was like, you coming as an American, you know, I got to keep you away from, you know, from people that's going to try to prey on you. You know, so I will always say, I don't care what country you go to, you got foreigners that'll come in here and get preyed on by Americans. So, you know, that
It-
element is always going to be out there no matter what country you go to. But
Yeah,
study the
hold on one
culture.
second. You,
I'm
you got to
sorry.
hop off Dr. Thunder or what?
yeah, if you, I mean, unless you want to give me a cross question or something real quick, I gotta go.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe you can start us off, and then we'll get back to you to land your plane, Uncle Stu, and
Okay,
also acknowledge you
I'll
becoming a
land the plane. To go back to the original question, yes, I would tell my son to learn, to know the culture, learn the language, and absolutely, if he likes what he see, go for it. And I,
Okay.
and I don't think it's a real hate against black women. I just think, you know, you might just go over there and find your love. I mean,
We'll
you
get
know,
into the
love is
nitty
love,
gritty of it too, and what it does to the community, and the messages and percentages and all kinds of things
right?
in that regard. But Dr. Thunder, there's a in terms of the shame, because you can start us off, and then you'll go take care of your Sunday activities. What is, in your opinion, the big source of the shame? You know, they're called tricks, they're called, you know, lames, they can't handle a strong black woman, or they can't compete, or whatever it may be. What is, in your opinion, succinctly, if you will, the source of the shaming of passport bro?
Competition. Yeah. it's anytime there seems to be a viable uh, option, additional option for black men are shamed. Uh, Anytime that has been the case. So when you see black men even dating outside of their race in America, that's an issue. Of course, black women don't get any heat for that. Matter of fact, they're praised and celebrated for it. Uh, and I think that the perception is that even if it's just for the purpose of tricking, going, getting your passport so you can trick, outside of the country, it's taken the money that would have gone to black women here and taking it and spending it there. So even if it's not necessarily for the specific purpose of getting married, and then therefore taking you off the market, so that black women, black American women can't have you as an option, though they don't want us, by the way. Um, that's another big factor, because it's kind of like this thing. It's like, I don't want you, but they can't have you either. It's like,
Can I
really?
add to that? What
Yeah,
I'm
but
going
here
to add is,
I
I'm
gotta
sorry.
go, and I'll see you guys later. Thanks for stopping by. Good to see you, Uncle Stu. Good to see you,
Yes, sir.
LAR.
I can handle this subject. The last two, it was
See?
like, okay, I can't get in those subjects. But
Go ahead and add to it, sir.
yeah, here's the whole thing. All you have to do is just say what I say, which is you was quiet when Tina Turner went overseas, got her a husband. Stella got a groove back. He wasn't American. Maya Angelou married 4 white men who wasn't American. And our greatest tennis player right to date didn't marry an American. So what's the argument? One of the largest YouTubers is a black woman that tells black women about leaving America and going overseas. And she is a huge YouTuber. So this idea, just like LAR brought up, I remember those cruises. Those cruises was marketed to women. You'll hear more women talking about getting on a cruise than you'll hear about a man getting on a plane. So it's just another way of as they would say, a double standard.
So LAR, the shaming, okay, and you already did a little bit of shaming of the people, but from an individual perspective, talking about people taking their bad behavior outside, right? Doing stupid stuff at the reunion or in some other stupid cruise. Why might as well go to Colombia and act ratchet over there too, and all that kind of stuff. But in general, when you see all the pushback, whether it be from men or women, and typically from men, it's the whole, well, you can't compete, or you're lame, or I'm a dating coach, so why are you leaving? You're supposed to be paying me, or whatever it may be. What is the reason for the shaming?
Dr. Thunder said competition. So I'm not going to go down that road. I'm going to go down that road of people are afraid of a better norm. And what I mean by that is black men have been known to go abroad and get treated better in a foreign country than they do their own.
Sorry, LAR. I've been very, very bad. I've been trying to shout out to Young Grump. My bad. Super Chat's been up there. I'm sure he's been tapping his finger like, what the hell, Ike? I mean, what the? Thank you very much for the super chat.
Hey, Ike, can you keep his super chat up? And after LAR, I want to address his question.
Excellent. So he said, it's good to have a passport now. I'm a veteran also and being deployed, right? Okay. The question is, are brothers traveling to explore or trick? And the answer is, of course, both, because you're talking about a group. So anyways, we'll let Uncle Stu touch on it later. But go ahead, LAR.
It's better treatment. Like, you even hear black male celebrities talk about how they get treated better outside of America. You hear black men who aren't celebrities say they go into different countries and get treated better there than they do in America. And the problem becomes people don't want to you're thinking you're going somewhere for just a vacation and experience, and it starts to make you wonder, why am I here? Because I get treated as a better person there than I do here. And a lot of people think, well, that's because you're American in another country. That's not necessarily true, because people don't want to deal with the scenario that white Americans got a bad rap abroad for going places and being a complete jerk to people. So they don't get treated well everywhere they go because they built a bad reputation. So when you see people shaming people here, it's like, it comes off as, I don't want you to know that you can get treated better somewhere else. You should stay accustomed to being treated poorly here. And I think that opens up a person's mind to the option of, maybe I don't want to have to deal with negativity in an American sense. I could get diet negativity somewhere else, you know.
All right, Uncle Stu. So you did mention about your veteran status, and you haven't traveled around the world, and you want to comment on the comment. So go ahead.
Yeah. I'm gonna say, Grump, it's both also. I'm gonna definitely agree with Ike on that. But I think more starts to go over there for the traveling to explore. And then, and I really use that tricking word a little bit lightly, and I'll say why. We got to understand that our American dollar is very strong overseas in many different countries. And therefore, what may cost you $2 in America, it may cost you almost a third of that price overseas. So what do I mean by that? When you're going overseas, is equal to you already being, quote unquote, a millionaire. This is why you have so many people, and I'm gonna use, Nigeria, I'm gonna use Jamaica, I'm gonna use Trinidadians. They will come into America and work jobs that you won't work. Send $100 to $200 back home to people in their country, and then go home, and they're living like wealthy kings and queens in their country. Why? Because the American dollar is just that strong. Second, when you see, as LAR said, when you see how, and I'll tell you a great state right here in the United States, go to Hawaii and see how the Hawaiians treat black people versus how they treat white Americans. Two totally different ways. When you go to Germany and see how you are treated there, or go to Scotland and see how you treated there, it is almost phenomenal. If people want historical fact, go this, again, if you want to go back to Malcolm X, when he went to the Middle East, he talks about his experience and how people treated him. And I don't think is because he was Malcolm X and he was a Muslim. It was the whole cultural experience that he received. And I think that was one of the reasons why he was able to change a lot of his philosophical ways when he got back to America. Again, you got a lot of people who's going to talk about the tricking, and that's going to
Let's get into the tricking. You mentioned it twice now. Okay. Here's I'm going to raise it up to a particular perspective, which I think it's true, and then we can start to demarcate, because tricking is a spectrum, and I say everything is tricking, right? In other words, you could pay with your time and exclusivity.
Right.
All I'm saying is all social experience is an exchange, right? That's all I'm saying. And whomever you're exchanging with, you're trying to get some kind of benefit of what they are, whom they are, and somehow maybe they've amassed a good character or wealth or personality or whatever it is, and you're trying to benefit from it. So the point is, at the highest levels, everything is tricking. So which part of the tricking do we have a problem with? Can you help start creating the spectrum from good tricking to bad tricking, sir?
Okay. I can only go on the experiences that I have and the men that I know. The men I know that normally goes to other countries, and they usually, quote unquote, get to the point where they marry that woman, but not all of them bring that woman back to America. They usually end up being married and staying in that country. They really, let's say, their American citizenship for that country. And I think now that you got internet and able to do work from home, they definitely getting up out of here and going to other countries because they're making the American money in America, but they're able to convert it. I think everybody plays the trick role. You go down there, you got some woman that says, "Hey, for $5, I'll love on you all night." Well, $5 ain't nothing to you, but $5 might be over, let's just say $100 to someone else. So yeah, you're gonna have that level of tricking, but I think women doing it too. So I think anybody that is going overseas definitely has that aspect of tricking. A woman can go down there and get with one of those foreign brothers. Doesn't necessarily mean she's gonna get married, but she goes down there and get with the foreign brothers. They was doing that when they was going and getting them a Trinidadian man. They was doing that when they was going down there getting them a Jamaican man. I mean, they wrote books and stories about how romantic these dudes are. They wrote books and stories about how Frenchmen is and how the Frenchmen loved on them, et cetera, et cetera. So, it's on both sides. I think we're getting the heat right now, all because it's because now we're free. I don't think everybody recognized that black men are free. Um, they're recognizing an experience of that freedom that women has always had, and now these guys are able to really experience things that we who've been in the military has always said. We just never really had a voice to say, hey, but there isn't too many military veterans that don't talk about that experience.
100%. So you're emphasizing both sides, and you also talked a little bit about why men are getting the heat right now. Also, in general, there's a general thing I like to give about when men and women are doing something and then men are getting shamed. It's just the way things work, because when men see women doing something, the typical thing, unless you're a BAN, right, a bitch ass nigga, it's not to
Right.
go shame me, or you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
so men are typically not the shamers in culture, generally speaking. That's not our tool. We don't play social emotion. We don't use those weapons, right? And
Right.
those are women. That's women's specialty, and of course, it should be their specialty. They don't have the upper body strength or the testosterone to be doing the other aggro crap, so they do this crap. So typically, that's the reason why. Right? Whenever men and women are doing something, men are getting shamed for it. Even women may be doing more, and you just kind of take it. It's just part of, like, you just smile, right? But
Exactly.
LAR, regarding the topic of bad tricking, we see what's on the screen, right? Someone says, "Hey, the only bad tricking, okay, is the underage version," right? And and I already mentioned that. Look, everything is a social exchange. Like, what do you're always exchanging. Typically, the male female thing is a man exchanges productivity, the woman brings what the man is looking for in whatever way, right? So, what's the bad tricking? Where do you draw the line?
Well, they draw the line with tricking is national tricking is fine. International tricking is sacrilegious. That's basically what they're saying. So,
Got to keep it within the gross domestic product,
yeah,
and
exactly.
within the control of the people who already got power in the environment, include whether they be dating coaches or other bitch ass niggas or some women. But go ahead.
Yeah, you Virgin Islands and the Wake Islands, that still counted as national tricking.
Well, Puerto Rico is
Outside of
cool.
that,
Okay, cool.
Oh, so
you
Puerto
know,
Rico is cool because it's still
Puerto
common
Rico,
part
yeah,
of
Commonwealth.
Commonwealth.
Everything outside of that, you're tricking. And the irony of this is it goes back. It reminds me of Eddie Murphy Raw. The difference between the joke about Dexter St. Jacques and Umfufu. And if you ever watched Eddie Murphy Raw, you know he made a joke about the girl going to Jamaica and meeting Dexter St. Jacques, and he was smoking weed and singing Bob Marley, and he just bangs her brains out, and then she goes back home happy. But Eddie Murphy said he's gonna go to Africa and pick up a chick from Africa and bring her back, and the women go, you American now, you got to get half his stuff. So it's the same dynamic. It's like, listen, it's a double standard. If a man can't go, a woman can go abroad and trick. Let me tell you something. I know women who went abroad and bought guys who came back with babies, who so they can have their child or whatever, who came back, oh boy, let me see, with the venereal monkeypox because they were just giving it up raw in the third world to the wrong people, and none of that is looked at as bad. Now, if you do it and you're a black man, you're a horrible individual. You went there, you took advantage. Like, you know what? Prime example. You remember the Fast and Furious when it was in Brazil?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody had a problem with the white guy with the black wife from Brazil. But I promise you, if that was Tyrese, it would have been a whole nother story.
And Tyrese is a simp too. He probably, it was probably written for him, but was like, no, I'm gonna be with my strong black. Anyways, but you know what? Let's stay here a little bit longer and let's hear.
Okay, can you pull up Perry Unlikely's comment? It's at 4:39.
I'm sorry. Whose comment?
Perry Unlikely,
Gotcha.
and the timestamp is 4:39.
That one?
Yes.
Got it. You mind reading the comment?
Sure. To me, the separation point is, are you really holding me down, even if it gets rough? If not, it's just when I can pay and times are good. But I'm still willing to do that. Then it seems like tricking.
Okay,
and the reason I like that statement, because he's talking about tricking right here in America. So what's the difference between tricking here in America and tricking overseas? You're talking about that? Okay, I put it like this: I don't even have to do it overseas. What's the difference between a brother that come from my home state, New York, and then run down, let's say, North Carolina or South Carolina?
Yeah,
get him a chick.
I leave the Bay Area because it's too expensive. I go to Georgia, right? I buy a big mansion. Right? But, as long as it's kept within I think LAR made that good point there that, it is, and beyond lest we just shame people back, right? Because that's not what we're trying to do, right? There is a community aspect of this, which I'm not saying it's conscious, but people are unconsciously tribal, right? So, and they want to keep things, it's dangerous when people are leaving, Sometimes you look at it as crabs in a barrel type mentality, but it is also that same thing that keeps social cohesion. We understand, right? It's emotions. Sometimes people are intelligent about it, sometimes they're not. But the same emotion that gives you the kumbaya, we are the people, whatever, is the same thing that'll cause people to start, pointing at fingers at you when you do anything that's outside the group, right?
Yeah, but see, what I always say, Ike, is for anybody that is arguing or complaining, when was the last time you left the 4 blocks of where you live at? Because I find that the people who really do a lot of the arguing never been overseas. They ain't never traveled. You got people right here in the United States and they ain't never went from city to city, yet alone state to state. So you got images and arguments about people's states that they have never been to. They may have seen something on the news. That's why earlier, I said, if we took the image of what the continent of Africa is, we have an image of countries in Africa that is not the actual country or actual how they live. Over here, what do we see? We see Africans that speak one language. They live in a jungle. They all starving. They got big bellies. It's almost like they're inhuman. And then if you go over to Africa, most of the images you see of African Americans is broke, busted, disgusted. We don't know anything. And so unless you travel and see things for yourself, you don't know what's truth and what's a lie. And that same thing that it goes state to state. People get an image of what New York is without really knowing anything about New York because they've never been there. So I think a lot of the shaming is coming from the fact that people has never traveled. Now, it's one thing if you have traveled and you see some things, then you can come back, but you're sharing your personal knowledge and experience. For example, I can sit here and tell you how beautiful Jamaica is, but then I can tell you about the very parts of Jamaica that's extremely poor and why a lot of part of Jamaica people's trying to get away from Jamaica. but it's because I have an experience in being in Jamaica and seeing both sides.
Let's hear from the other side. Okay, I'm going to play a clip from a clip. Okay, Bernard Riley's stream yesterday. He found the clip where someone was arguing from the other side, and he's coming from the what some people will call the communita aspect. He's a man, and I'm going to let him speak for himself, and hopefully the audio is up. You guys let me know if you guys hear it.
Okay.
What is it? Okay, here. Oh wait, no, it's already up. I just gotta. Oh shit. Wait a minute. There we go. All right. Yeah, about to play this from the beginning one last time.
Click the
Take us
like
home
button,
with this
super
one. This
chat,
is,
fair use.
A black man
DJ Clue,
basically crying over because of passport bros. Yeah, that it was bad. So yeah, about to play this clip, and speaking of dick police, we talked about that earlier. But yeah, this is grade A quality dick policing right here. So shout out to everybody in the building. After I play this, I'm just ending the stream. So thank you everybody who super chatted, Cash App, like, share, subscribe, do anything to support the stream in any way, shape, or form. I greatly appreciate you. And with that said, I'm up out of here. Peace.
Brothers, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm in the middle. I have our black male code to a certain extent. I'm a black male, but I'm just one of those few of us that actually loves the women that births us. And
You see, already started, right? He's one of those that actually loves your women. Anyways, I'm saying.
just one of those few of us that actually loves the women that births us. And I would never, ever. I've been married to a Mexican woman. There's some of us that are in the middle. It's not black and white, young brothers. I get it. We older generation, we don't understand where you guys came from. Outwardly, just totally downgrading us like this. But that's all right. That's a different story. This is really for the young black brothers. I really do want to see you guys travel because we don't as black people. And it's so beautiful that young black men are getting out to go see the world, but you're bringing back an untruth. It is not safe for us like that.
So he came with the safetyism, first of all, right? And maybe we could pause there before he gets a little bit more ridiculous. Safetyism is a part of wokeness in general. That's people who just kind of tell you that stuff isn't safe, like you didn't know that the world wasn't safe. Like it's unsafe for me to go check my mail. It's all kinds of crap happen on that.
Yeah,
street.
I was going to say, is it safe in certain parts of Chicago? Is it safe in certain parts of Georgia? Is it safe in certain parts of California? And I mean, safe is a subjective term. I heard how he came in, so I'm going to give the argument. I'm telling I'm not even going to be black male or black female. I'm telling people travel. They got lists of where you could go where they say, hey, this is safe for Americans. This is safe for non-Americans. You got many places where you could travel. You got agencies that is right here that can set you up for traveling, to be in safe places and learn what's going on. You got churches that's still doing evangelistical work. If you want to go over there and travel with certain communities, whether you're a Christian, whether you're a Jew, whether you're a Muslim, you've got agencies that is going over there and being able to take you into countries where you can see the safety. His premise was, and fine, I'll concede this. If you find you a Mexican, Jamaican, Trinidadian, and that's what you like, fine. You don't have to always talk about the black woman here. But I think that's a very loose word, because if I say I am born and raised in New York, love New York, but I got the heck out of New York because it was too expensive. Okay, so am I not allowed to say New York is too expensive? What I can buy in, say, Virginia or in South Carolina is a whole lot better for my money than being in New York. I'm not allowed to say, hey, I like the culture aspect of another city or state over the cultural aspect of what I was seeing going on in New York. Or
that's a good point. And he goes on for a few minutes here, so he might be able to defend himself there on that point. But let's get LAR's take on this safety aspect, though. Just in the beginning here, he says it's not safe for us, and he's just getting started. Okay, he came in with the I actually love, as though that's very indirect, passive aggressive shaming tactic that whomever is not like him doesn't love doesn't love your
Right.
mom or something, right? And then he talked about it's not safe for us out there. LAR, what you think?
I don't listen to that type of rhetoric for one particular reason. Is because normally the type of guys who will say stuff like that are the type of guys that'll tell you to date somebody who's in the hood, who's related to somebody who's in criminal activity.
Okay.
So it's not safe for you to go to abroad, but if you want to meet this girl and and her family happens to be in the streets, it's safe for you to date her because she's a black woman.
As a matter of fact, you
So
should. That is the right thing to do because you got to uplift your people. But
yes,
I
Fall
know
on the sword, LAR.
and when they uplift your car and take the wheels off of it, it's not a big deal. So it's like,
So, because we were talking about the community feeling and all that type of stuff, and it may seem like a caricature, but this is a real person talking, right? So let's continue to play. Let's see.
Hold on, Ike.
Go ahead.
But see, I'm gonna tell you what sparked it for me. I happen to have seen that live yesterday. This is what I say, especially to younger people. And I am older. I am 55. When you got somebody coming in and they're saying, well, I'm 55, I'm 60, I'm 70, and basically they're trying to claim what I call numeric authority. And that was the wrong thing to do. What my generation was like is not like any other generation. So I can't even argue generation to generation. I think we have a tendency to romanticize our history to the point where we think everything was good for us and now everything just hit the bottom right now. And so my argument is always going to be if somebody want to do a little study, go back to the 1970s under the Carter administration when everybody was getting them planes hijacked. Who was the first people that the hijackers let go off of those planes? It was black people and white women. Why? Because they felt that they didn't have any value. And that was always known that if you're a black person on one of those planes, you get hijacked, you're the first to go. And they was always letting people first to go. The first time a black man ever got held hostage was the Air Force pilot that Jesse Jackson went over there and had it going free. So I think once he starts with I'm older, he's basically trying to claim authority over just dealing with allowing people their own individual experience.
100%. Ladies and gentlemen, click that like button. Okay, we got an active conversation and an active chat. You know what? I'm a bit of a passport bro myself. Obviously, I'm an immigrant in one way, and I'm married to someone that's not. I'm married to a Ghanaian. I'm Nigerian, so I'll put my hat over there with the passport bros. I'll take all the attacks that come with it, I guess. But let us continue.
Inside joke, LAR. Is he allowed to stream over here? Because they're not allowed to talk about Black Americans,
And untruth.
International,
it is not safe for us.
The question isn't that.
Go ahead.
We gotta ask. I gotta ask that. Would you have the same issue from Nigeria to Ghana where people go, you know what? You're supposed to be with somebody from Nigeria, not Ghana.
No, it's typically the Ghanaians whom, Nigerians are complained about all over the world. Let's just put it that way. It's typically not like Nigerians are just doing what they do, and then they're complaining all over the world for all the crap that we go out there and do. And in Ghana, it's Nigerians are coming to take the women. And same thing in East Africa. Nigerians are taking women everywhere. But it's so it's not in Nigeria that the men will be complaining or the women will be complaining. It's in Ghana, for example, like, why are you over here with this braggadocious, egotistical, money grubbing, tricking Nigerians?
Gotcha.
Brothers, I really do want to see you guys travel because we don't as Black people. And it's so beautiful that young Black men are getting out to go see the world. But you're bringing back an untruth. It is not safe for us like that. Still travel. Yeah, get you a fine Latina, but do it right, young black men. Think about how it is in this country right now for you. It is not better. Now, I'm not saying don't go, and I'm not saying don't experience life, but especially Colombia. I teach Hispanic civilization and culture. Black men, be in the middle.
So part of why I think he said that I teach thing, or talking about, he's talking about the racism, that he's basically saying, look, everyone hates you out there. It's horrible, all that kind of stuff, right? So, but anyways, let's continue.
Travel the world, be you, but stop tearing down our mother and sisters. Tell them the truth. It's not safe like that. We are seen as Vicks. Now, it might not be right, but it's the truth. We are the biggest Vicks. Why? Because all you want is some fucking pussy. All you want is some goddamn Latina pussy. That's all you show.
Bam! And now the big guns are coming out. Any reactions? Play by play,
Yeah.
blow by blow?
He's speaking. What I'm hearing is double talk. He has the right to be a teacher talking about Colombia. Then he went a little emotional when he talked about the shaming of the mother. Then he jumped right back, and so he was doing a lot of double talking. And that's what all I kept hearing was the double talk. Now if he wanted to just say, hey, gentlemen, go overseas, enjoy the women, do what you have to do, whatever. I'm just against, let's say, you talking about black women here. Do it because you are seeking love or whatever. All right, I might give you a pass on that. But, all the double talking, he has the privilege to do this. I don't think he's using that female talking point just because I may not love another race or another culture outside of my mother does not have anything to do with my mother. So I give a perfect example. My mother stands 5'3". My mother is what they would call a size 5 or 6. She's skinny. But I've never dated a skinny woman. I've never been attracted. So because I'm not attracted to someone my mother's size, I hate my mother. That's a dumb argument. And to sit there and go, well, Colombia is this, Colombia is that. Well, my whole thing is there are countries that no, we shouldn't go into just because we're American, not because we're not black. So again, I don't think we're having a true intellectual argument, especially when you're saying men, your mother. I'm tired of the mother argument. Perry says 5 or 6 isn't skinny. Dude, if I show you my mother, she's skinny. But like I said, this shaming tactic is a little bit ridiculous. The hate your mother because I don't like to be treated a certain way. Now I make it clear to everybody. I am dating I'm married to a black woman, black American woman. So you can't come after me with that attitude. But at the same time, my wife would tell you if I ever got divorced, she'd tell you I said I was going overseas. Why? Because I've been overseas. And again, just because you don't have a passport, you can get one. It costs $100. That passport doesn't even have to be used for going overseas. It's like having a federal ID. So you can go from state to state using your passport as your ID versus your driver's license. I don't see anything wrong with anybody going overseas and having an experience of whether you're a tourist, whether you're going over there to establish business, etc. And if you just happen to find a woman that loves you, cares about you, willing to treat you better than however you treat it, okay, sarah. Again, I'm old enough to know women been doing this for the last 20, 25 years. And
LAR.
And do reports on it.
What you say about the guy so far? Are you disrespecting disrespecting the black mothers and whatnot. You already say you don't like reacting to these types, but you're stuck. Anything you say?
I mean, it's very interesting, you know. So he's saying I'm a black man who's married to a Mexican and don't date them Colombians because of your black mother, because she loves you and it's not and it's dangerous. Now, you know, don't you go to Cartagena? Don't you go to Medellin? Now, Mexico City, Guadalajara, that's on the map. That's acceptable, you know. So, because he's had a better experience there, because you know he's a teacher of Hispanic studies.
Nice summary.
And interesting.
Let's continue.
LAR's face is funny.
Tell the truth.
It's like I can
It's
read your
not
brain.
safe like that. We are seen as Vicks.
But
Now, it might not be right, but it's the truth. We are the biggest Vicks. Why? Because
What's a Vic? Victim or a
yeah,
trick?
he's trying to say a victim. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
all
I'm
you
glad
want is
you
some
got
fucking pussy.
Amethyst post up here because I'm gonna respond to that too.
okay. Hold on. Let's see.
all you want is some goddamn Latina pussy. That's all you show. Just like here. Just like here. Now, that doesn't mean you can't find a woman over there that loves you. Of course you will. They all want a damn passport. I got fucking played. And speak the language fluently. That's how big the game is. Be careful, young black men. This is not just as easy as, oh, they just want you. Oh, yeah, you're going to get some pussy. Because that's the image that we portray. That's the image we portray. We gonna get some pussy and that's it. You're gonna spend your money and you're gonna marry them and you're gonna get them out of poverty. The same thing you can do here for your own black people.
All right, so he said it out of his mouth himself. You, LAR, predicted this whole, or we have been predicting that they would not mind if you go get some poor person out of America, but you can't take it out there. And if somebody gives a clear, shall we say, non-emotional point as to, well, we're rebuilding now, we cannot afford resources going out, XYZ, and so on and so forth. But is this the comment you want to react to? Because next, I want to take us, as we continue to play the video, I want to take us to the place where some people say that there should be more organization, right? I'm not a Passport Bro Inc. person, but should there be a Passport Bro Inc.? In other words, should you want to separate yourself from Passport Pookie or Traveling Maggles or whatever the other group is that is perhaps making you look bad? Maybe there's a respectable Passport Bro or someone who travels like yourself, Uncle Stu, and saying, hey, I hear what you're saying, big dog, this guy on the screen, right? But that's not me. But go ahead. What was the comment you were going to react to?
No, I like what Amethyst had to say. She said, let me say, the early one was she only dates black men. And that's a good statement. And I think a lot of people need to understand that when we say black, you have, if I asked her right now, does she like Elvis Elvis Idris? You know what I'm saying? If you like him, he just happened to be a black British. You got a whole lot of, famous black men that either is in America or really came from a whole nother country and either working in America or working overseas. So hang out with the black man. You all right, Amethyst. And I better see you graduate and you better walk across that stage. But what this dude is doing, he's really doing a double take and a double shaming tactic, because I'll say what I think LAR wanted to say, but he's being laid back. How you gonna go to college and study Spanish, but then you're gonna say you got played? What he got played with is the fact that not everybody is going over there and bringing those women back to this country. A lot of people's getting married and they're either going to that country or leaving them in that country and supporting them in that country. So just because I got robbed in, say, Michigan, do I now tell everybody not to go to Michigan because I got played? I got robbed. I didn't see the signs. Do I tell everybody not to get married because I got a divorce? Again, I I don't like that double standard argument because I can bring it right back to which one can we do.
So, do you think there should be an organization? Just start with Uncle Stu here because I think you have more experience doing this type of stuff. Now, personally, I think it's I'm not an organization type of person. I'm a individualist, typically, generally speaking, with things like this, and I don't feel the need to separate myself from groups because I just assume that I'm an individual, and that other individual over there that's also traveling and doing X, Y, Z doesn't have to tarnish my reputation. My reputation is strong enough, and it's built on other things than mere associations. So, what do you say about people who say, look, there needs to be a thing, like, let's say some people talk about the Black Manosphere, for example, like it should be incorporated, take control of it, and that way there's a manifesto, there's a charter, if you will. Do you think along those lines, Uncle Stu, or you're like,
no, I'm right there with you. I'm an individualist. Because I believe, first of all, if let's say I like Morocco, if I'm going to Morocco and I'm establishing businesses in Morocco, then I'm gonna talk about how it is in Morocco. I don't need to know how things are in Nigeria or how things may be in Cairo, Egypt, or South Africa, Johannesburg. I mean, each country is different, so everybody can just rock and roll on that. Do I believe in networks? Then yeah, if I say, well, LAR, you got a network in your town, I got a network in my town, let's collaborate. That's a whole different story, but that's not necessarily setting up a business. That's just networking. My resources for your resources. So no, I don't believe in the whole let's set it up and sing kumbaya to a corporation. No.
Gotcha. LAR, I know you're not. What do you think about that whole organization thing in general?
Man, they full of it. What is it? So, is there any organization for all the ladies going to Dubai?
They call them a travel agent.
I'm just saying, what about the organization for hedonism? What about the organization for the Soca Fest? What about that organization? Where does it exist? It doesn't. A lot of people try to give Black men an extra busy assignment so they can feel like they have some modicum of control over what we do. We gotta go through them or by way of them, or they get the last say so and knight us if we can do something. And it's let me do it this way. The same people who say that's a problem, tricking and going abroad, and I'm gonna just keep it black. If Burna Boy came over here and started tricking on American Black women, you think you'd hear a problem? Just for the record. Burna Boy was at Magic City tricking on these dancers. Oh my God, he's a sellout to his country. He's eating all the chicken wings, the tater tots. No, it wouldn't happen like that.
It's interesting. Let me just mention this, and before we continue playing the video, this is a general Western topic in the sense that there is a big disconnect in Western, shall we say, sexual morality. The morality around sex with West is very, it's what some people call schizophrenic, but it's not really. It's like bipolar. In the sense that titties, like seeing titties in Africa, right? It's like, okay, titties, right? Or maybe, in other words, or, a general kind of what would be called over-sexualized in the West. Just kind of, okay, that's kind of normal, right? Or men staring at women. It's like, whatever. No, his wife may even be there, right? You know what I'm saying? There's this general kind of openness about this type of stuff. But in the West, where it's supposed to be free and Playboy and Hustler magazine, very prudish about a titty showing somewhere or some crap like that. Or, oh, you can't do that. Or you are paying, or you're that kind of a thing. In Nigeria, it's like, dude, you're tricking, you're not tricking, you're doing this, you whatever. Who are we scamming today? Who gives a crap, right? In the West, there's that kind of thing. And I noticed it when I first came. It was with the Bill Clinton thing. I mean, imagine a Nigerian president or even a French president, or because the United States is where it's kind of really, really amplified in the West, where, oh my God, he did what? It's like, of course, what else is he supposed to be doing, right? It's like, now he's an idiot for not handling for his business correctly and for he to be tarnished like this. But a real, big man like that, as they say in Nigeria, a big man, of course, that's what he's doing. Who gives a crap, right? What is this thing going on in the West? LAR and Uncle Stu, where on the one hand, it's all this liberation, right? Feminism, this and that and the other. But on the other hand, it's crazy. But in Africa, it's direct opposite, where it's kind of loose, but actually there's a 0.5% divorce rate in Nigeria, for example. Go ahead.
Really? In America? Dang, I hate to say this, but because I'm trying to say it in a nice way. America has a bad issue with penis envy. And it's really schizophrenic sexually because you have, like, America is America has a weird obsession with black men's Johnson. So a lot of the schizophrenic behavior you see sexually comes from people who want it, or quote unquote men who aren't black who want a black man's Johnson to be on their body, and
or in your life. Anyways, I'm good. Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. Like, people forget that, like, a lot of the lynchings that went on, people were cutting off guys' member. Think about that. You hang a guy, you burn some of these guys alive, but you have to take the time to cut off his member as you kill him. And people don't ask the question, if they were using our teeth, if they were selling our hands and feet at butcher shops, what you think they was doing with the... Come on now. What do you could make the argument that's where the first dildo came from in America.
Mandingo dildo. Uncle Stu. You got something to say here about this this thing that I observed, if you observed it too, that there's a prudishness, and then on the other hand, Hustler Magazine, freedom, liberation, but very prudish about some things, where in Africa or most other parts of the world, like let's say Thailand and stuff like that, they're more open about their sexuality, but still have traditional families. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, basically, knowing the history and the politics of America, it's always attempted to try to be that so-called beacon of Christianity, although it talks about allowing a lot of other religions, but it's always wanted to portray itself as the holy of holy of countries from a Christian perspective. And therefore it already came in with a pseudo idea of sexuality and tried to suppress it from a Eurocentric perspective. So it's attempted to do that, but it just hasn't been success. It's been successful in certain areas and unsuccessful in others. You got to remember, you had somebody that sued Penthouse, all the way up to the Supreme Court, trying to get that shut down, but they was able to get it under the First Amendment. So if it wasn't for that First Amendment, they would have probably got it more for a morality issue. They tried to do it again in the 90s. A lot of this stuff is coming under the First Amendment rights of freedom of speech. So they're using that in order to bring out pseudo sexuality. So that's how I've seen it, and see more of the hypocrisy than anything else. I think LAR has a definite good point on why there seems to be this obsession, but only place I know that they've ever suppressed sexuality was in the Middle East.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Let's see.
Same thing you could do.
Continuing the speech here by our friend, and ladies and gentlemen, again, you are on Case Closed 4 p.m. every Sunday. Okay, we got topical topics, trending news. Okay, we relax a little bit, not too heady, not talking about stock market and chasing the bag all the time. And today we're talking about passport bros. Why are they shamed? What are the benefits of it to the individual, perhaps to the community? Competition has been discussed amongst other things as well. Go ahead and hit that super chat. Young Grump has done it, but no one else has done it. Okay, 99 cents. Okay, just keep the party going. Let's see some colors in the chat space. Okay, keep things active. And we're going to continue to play this video about where this guy, and by the way, this stat here about black men wake up 41% of welfare recipients is like 41% of welfare recipients are black. But that's not black men, right? That's going to be both black men and black women. So, but anyways, let me not get into some random stat by some random chatter.
Period.
And I'm gonna stop right there because you know what? This is not to go down on my black brothers. I'm gonna be honest with you because I'm a black man from Chicago, and even though I'm one of the righteous ones, I'm still a black man, and I cannot unmarry myself from the ridiculousness that we're showing to the world the last 15 years. I still love you because I'm you. I'm just not gonna do what you do. There's some of us in the middle, and you know what? I love my sisters. I love my mother. Her nappy hair, her thick lips, because it's mine. Stop tearing down our fucking people.
All right. He loves his mother. He loves his sister. Love the nappy hair and the big lips and anything. If you travel, you get a passport and go get your willy wet outside the United States. This is tearing down my mother. This crazy Oedipus complex, like a mug, like this whole, you're talking about your penis, and then you keep on bringing up your mom. But LAR, start with the reaction, and then we'll go to.
First of all, he's not from Chicago. He's got to be from Aurora, Elmsgrove, Hillsdale, Schaumburg. No, you're not gonna disrespect. I'm from the West Side, he got to be from the North Side. Country Club Hills, somewhere. I'm not even gonna put that on the South Side. I'm not gonna do it. Because all that all that right there, no, no, we're not doing it. You know, here's the problem. These people, and there's a lot of brothers who let me just cut to the chase and do it this way. There are a lot of guys who have been raised by women and they think like women, and they think that other men who are raised by women think like women too. And they think they can appeal to guys by talking to him as if he wore a skirt, you know, the majority of his life. And I know people like that are misinformed, because this has gone beyond travel and went into just straight up pandering to save the black woman because she's a black woman. But I found that out after me and my Mexican wife fell out. I'm not buying this.
I caught that
now
too.
You gonna put this on Chicago, like, oh, okay. You know, Quincy Jones is somewhere with a white woman sitting there like, look, I don't know him. I don't know what street he's from. I don't know nothing he's talking about. He is not representing this. Yeah. You know, Kim Kardashian is looking
one of
at Kanye
boys,
right now.
apparently. You send this to Ramil.
Yeah. This is pathetic, man.
LAR caught exactly what I caught. You say this after you married outside of your race. I let everybody know this ain't got nothing to do with what black women look like. Nothing at all.
I don't know why they keep doing that though. Like
most black men are not talking about I don't like a black woman because of how she looks.
Sorry.
They talk
most
about
black men
character.
actually prefer black women, like in terms of the looks.
Exactly.
A lot of times it's even
you got
the darker the better for most of
them.
Right. It's crazy. Like I mean, people even go out of their way to say wear your natural hair and all, you know, all that kind of stuff, right? But
exactly.
Still, it's like so. Yeah.
But see, you know what everybody forgets? Like, we are not talking about 50% of the populace. We're only talking about a minute neighborhood, a minute number. Because if you look at the statistics, it says people that make over $50,000, that's a small number. The largest population of people that even holds a passport makes $100K a year. That's their stats. People that make under $50,000 are not running around with a passport going overseas.
True.
It does take money to go overseas. You know, it takes money to travel. And a lot of people that I bet is arguing this stuff don't even have money to travel.
Yeah, if they did, they would be out there taking advantage as well, and doing that leverage game, as Dr. Thunder's kind of pointed it to us. But I want to just re-emphasize this case because there seems to be a disconnect all the time where the hotep / mama people are always talking about looks and colorism, and that has never been the issue. Okay,
Right.
especially the colorism one, where it's like, look, novelty is always more interesting, right? Like, oh,
Right.
look at that mix of this and this and that, right? Of course, everyone's gonna look over it. That doesn't mean anything, right? Typically, right? But with skin tone, a lot of time, look, it's not about the. Let me just take my personal preference. Personal preference is a darker skin, and skin texture is more important than tone. Seeing if you're light, but the texture or the whatever is not there, the way the light rays bounces off the skin, the turgidity, the firmness, all that crap. Who cares about what color it comes out, right? As a matter of fact, I do prefer if it comes out darker, right? If it's darker and it's got all those other things in that I like, then boom, perfect. Natural hair is generally preferred by black men. We know that. So but it's hard to take care of. Trust me, we have the same kind of hair texture too, right? It's not like we don't know that it's harder to take care of, but that's the only excuse that anyone has. It's not that, oh, it's not good, it's ugly. It's like, no, it just takes work to take care of. So all that stuff about lips or hair and color, that's just pure BS right from the beginning. Anyways, and they can't have it both ways. On the one hand, it's like, oh yeah, all other women want to look like us. Kim Kardashian wants to look like us. But on the other hand, oh, no one wants to. Come on.
Yeah. And see, here's the funny part about all of that. As long as I've been living and talking to men, most men don't talk about I'm looking for a red bone, a caramel color. They don't talk in the sense of color. They talk in the sense of body. You know, some men like booty, some men like long legs, some men like breasts. You know, they talk in the sense of body size more than they talk skin complexion. If they talk skin complexion, they're usually going to say, like if I said to LAR, man, I'm dating a red bone. He understands what complexion of a woman. Or I'm dating this coffee colored woman with a little bit of milk. I mean, it'll give him the shade of the brown I'm talking about, but it's not somebody just runs out and is looking for that. So I don't fall for all of that.
Yeah, it's like 99% body. Anyways, let's go.
Right.
Unmarry myself from the ridiculousness that we're showing to the world the last 15 years. I still love you because I'm you. I'm just not going to do what you do. There's some of us in the middle, and you know what? I love my sisters. I love my mother, her nappy hair, her big lips, because it's mine. Stop tearing down our fucking people. You don't understand. I'm a high school teacher. Everybody in the world sees us as fucking buffoons. Stop.
You're not helping.
Yeah, they beautiful over in Colombia, but it's some ugly motherfuckers too, and you know it. You know it.
So he's saying that guys who travel are ugly? Is that he's just being direct like that, or he's talking about getting ugly?
No, what he's trying to do is, and I hope that Bernard can find that dude, because he sounds like he's in my age group, and that would be the conversation I want him to have with me. Because I push back on all that stuff. First of all, it sounds like there's something personal going on in his life. This is not general conversation. There's something definitely personal.
Oh, like Uncle Stu, the therapist. It's like, hey, they are like, you guys need to chill, okay? I think this guy has got. I think we need to an intervention.
But because here's why I say that. I'm gonna take a page from Edward Anderson. I need to know where he's getting his information from, and I'm dead serious. It's like, who are you listening to? And just don't give me this blanket statement, well, I hear it. No, I want to know who you hearing it from and where you getting the information, because I've been in this space long enough where I have not heard about a man just hate his mother and hate his sister and all this. I want to know directly what man you've been talking to. So to me, that's just foolish conversation. The second question that if I had the chance to talk to him is, with all of the emotions that you exerting, have you not heard men talk more? You talking about in the last 15 years the character. Well, fine, let's talk about that. Have you seen the character of the woman that got her boyfriend deleted for a bag of potato chips? Whose fault was that? What about the character of the woman that got her son deleted over some freaking French fries? Or what about the character of the woman that took 50 cents, got some gasoline, and had her boyfriend deleted? What about the character of the woman that went and deleted her 2 kids just this past week? You don't think that's being talked about? See, what about the character of the entertainment industry when you got an overweight woman running around twerking everywhere she goes? You're going to talk about that character? This is what we're talking about. The foolish character of what's being really displayed. Oh, let's not forget, this woman also went on TED Talk and said it was part of the American Black culture to be running around twerking. See, I'll get him on that side.
LAR, what you got to say? Go ahead.
I just don't think he cares about black boys or black men, because if he's a high school teacher in Chicago, I don't think he's gonna have that same crying aspect about all the kids who've gotten shot behind chasing around black girls.
Right.
Just don't. I mean, I went to I graduated high school in Chicago. You know how many of these quote unquote gang fights and gang went behind some teenage girl? Do you know how many people got shot? I don't think he's gonna sit there and cry. He looks like my nephew, and he looks like my brother, and he looks like my son. He ain't gonna care. I could have taught him how to play Connect 4 in Spanish. He's not gonna do all that. He's not gonna do all that. So all of this BS is what it is. It's BS. And just to make a petty statement worse, you got a problem with girls tricking on girls? Bet he don't. Sound like Uncle Clifford cousin.
All right.
But LAR, I think Amethyst smacked it straight dead on the head. That man got being abroad probably from tricking.
Mm-hmm. He did say that he had a bad experience or something of the sort.
Exactly.
But let's let him continue.
Stop. Yeah, they beautiful over in Colombia, but it's some ugly motherfuckers too, and you know it. You know it. Be in the middle. Travel the world. Do it, please. Open your mind, brother. Please. But stop telling everybody that everything is better over there. They hate your ass just like they hate you over here.
Okay. You are hated. You are hated. Go ahead.
I love the way his dumb self ended. You are hated over here. So just be hated over here. Don't worry about going anywhere else. Just stay hated where you at. Don't try to see if you hated a little bit less somewhere else. Be hated where you at, man. Be comfortable in that. Accept your role. Mother. Anyway.
I ain't got nothing to say behind what LAR said, because that's exactly how I'm seeing it too. It's like, so stay here and be hated. I really wish that if Bernard had the opportunity, I need to speak to the 50 and up. He can run all that stuff, and it's not really working on the younger generation. But come talk to an older person that's been overseas and try telling them that. First of all, the word hate, this is where you do have to separate black and white. When you talk about hate, who are you talking about? Because yes, when you go overseas, they see a black man and they can tell that we're from America. But I'm sorry, they separate us by color too. And that separation isn't, you're a black American, so we hate you more than other Americans. As ironic as it sounds, it's usually the opposite.
Mhm.
Black American is treated a whole lot better than the white American. Second, you got to understand our musical genre is the only musical genre that has touched every single country in the world. Hip hop is an international phenomenon. And the early hip hop music people was able to do what? Go overseas. Europe and France accept these people. You go to Japan, and I guarantee you, some of them Japanese dance better than some African Americans off the same freaking music.
That point that you mentioned there about blacks being treated better is key. A lot of the culture that America exports is African American culture, and a lot of that culture, that soft power, is what makes America look good in the eyes of the world. In other words, like not to put it in a bad way, but African Americans are kind of like a mascot, one of the mascots of
Right.
of America, right? So when you see the mascot, you're like, hey, I can relate. I know, they're more cool, right, than some
Right.
random white dude. So and a lot of and Americans don't tend not to understand the power of that soft culture in the sense that you can ask a typical African in the street, would they rather take Russian money, Chinese money, or American money? In other words, if an American is going to come buy this land, build a company over here versus Chinese versus Russian, they'll pick an American any day. And a big part of it is because of that cultural product that gets put out, most of which is African American, is my point. So Hakeem,
because think about it, how do if you think about it, and I don't know what it's like today's times, but when I was in Nigeria, it was funny or ironic to see that many Nigerian women were starting to dress like African American women. Hairstyle, dress, etc. We're just now reverting back to buying dashikis and African garbs again. But for a long while, you couldn't, if you took a picture of a Nigerian and a picture of a Black American, you couldn't separate them unless they opened up their mouth because of how they dressed.
100%. Shout out to Hakeem in the building. Says Big Ike. He's got $5 on it. Okay. So what I want us to close out with, and we'll start with Uncle Stu and then LAR, is the community writ large. Now, you may say not a lot of people are going out, but they're leaving for a reason. And you've given certain reasons, which are not just, personal preference. I just want to be eccentric and I want to try something new. They're saying, hey, as emphasized by the comment here from Pan-African, I think he's called him Pan-African capitalist, talking about traditional women, in other words, right? In other words, there's a complaint that, hey, I'm not down for this Western stuff. I'm gonna get ran through the ringer, and Coach Greg Adams, I'm gonna go through the wheel of Coach Greg Adams, the marriage wheel. Okay. First you get what is it? He said the engagement ring, then the wedding ring, and then the suffering, right? So but people are saying, hey, I don't want to go through that. And then the question is to the Passport Bros is, okay, are you a let the community burn type person? Or is there not something to, hey, stay behind and help build? Is this something that you would make a universal law? What if everybody left, let's say, would be the argument that they're making? What if there's a critical mass and why are we abandoning blah, blah, blah? Uncle Stu, does that make sense? And any comments? And also your last general overall thoughts.
Yeah, I think within the African American community, what you're dealing with is more on a class social system. In other words, Black men are now rising up in certain economic and social classes, and they're not seeing themselves in those economic social classes. And because they're not seeing themselves to be in certain social classes, you have to have certain social norms. And social norms is not what is being portrayed with a lot of African American women. And so what you're having to see is the rejection of what Black women want to define as social norm, but it's not a social norm. It's anti-normal. You can't be in certain social groups unless you act a certain kind of a way. And what you're seeing is the rejection of that anti-social norm My background, I do come from an affluent background, and I know how that social norm is. And if you're not meeting the standards of that social norm, you can't be in that social class. So it is more than just money. It's a whole social dynamic.
So you're being uppity when you keep talking about this traditional women and this. First you got a passport, now you're flexing on us, and you're traveling. You're talking about all this traditional stuff and middle class. Who do you think you are, right? You're supposed to be suffering out here with Keisha, with the rest of us, dodging bullets. And anyways, go ahead.
Well, but sadly, that's exactly how it is, because for some black people, if you didn't come from the hood, you ain't black. If you ain't been to prison, you ain't a man. If you ain't did certain things, we come up with these new rules when back in my early days, when I started off in Pan-Africanism, we was international. I got online. They said, well, nah, you can't be a Pan-African this way. You got to be ADOS or FBA, and you got to deny the Nigerians. You got to deny the Haiti. You got to deny all these other black people and just strictly be here. And it's like, well, wait a minute now. So what do I do with all the black people I know that went through things? So it can become extremely confusing when you're trying to put categories and labels. I would say once again that we are dealing in a structure where it's a social structure. So if you got two people that came up in a particular social structure, there's a social norm that goes with that structure. And what I'm seeing, and this is even for women that has a little bit of change, they're not willing to adapt to the social norm. And the social norm in certain classes is, man is the head. Man does certain things, women do certain things. So it's a little bit of that. Then again, you got people that's never traveled. You got older people in my generation and up that is sitting around here and they're romanticizing history. Like LAR said, they grew up around women, learned women ways, did it women ways. Back in the early days, the women was the queen, and you did what the queen said, and you was the man. Well, that's not working. That don't work. And I tell those same men, what the hell did we march for the Million Man March for? Oh, that's right. You probably wasn't at the Million Man March, but I was.
Very well, succinctly. That's a good end right there. I was there, and yes, if we can. If Bernard can find that individual for you guys to have a conversation, that would be great. That would be a good, nice marathon stream. You guys can go back and forth on the mothers and their hair.
Yeah, and I'm going to let LAR moderate. Bernard just runs the engineering.
All right. Shout out to Technological Chaos in the building. So, LAR, we're wrapping it up, right? Final thoughts plus this question about, well, is the passport thing a real solution that can be generalized? And if it's generalized, is that not abandonment? And some may say, like, I don't know, MOT will show up now and say, yes, of course, that's the only way to rebuild. You got to burn it down to the ground. How else are you going to do this? And as an engineer or someone who's ever built anything, a lot of times it's just easier to start from scratch rather than try to fix this old shack and this freaking concrete from 1974 mixed with nails from the freaking. You get what I'm saying, right? So just burn out, explode the whole shack, clean foundation, pour some fresh concrete. Well, what do you have to say?
Well, I think the men that got away got a passport, and people are upset that they may never come back. So they're not necessarily burning it down. They're just like, well, you can keep that. You can keep that lot over there. I'm going somewhere else. So ultimately, what you winded up seeing is people who really don't want to say what I'm about to say. People who thought they could do anything that they wanted in the Black community, and there was a group of guys who was always there to fix it. You're seeing more and more of these guys exited, whether it's with a passport, whether it's moving to the suburbs, and whether it's moving away from the neighborhood. And you're seeing the bunch of people who was like, Okay, I knew I was screwing up my whole life, but y'all supposed to fix this situation. And they're panicking because now they're left with the rest of their lot. And they know the people you leaving with them with are screw ups just like they are. So now we got to figure out a way to discourage you from going anywhere. Because it actually has, to me, it has very little to do with actual dating, mating, or travel. This actually has a lot to do with you're supposed to share your hard work with me while I was screwing up. And how dare you find an exit strategy from getting away from us.
And I'll even take what he just said, which was perfect. You supposed to automatically forgive me, although I broke into your car, stole your money, and robbed you a couple of times. Forgive me. I didn't know any better. Because let's be honest, most people leave those communities because they probably did attempt to try to help. They probably did all kinds of stuff, but those people are rejected in that community. They are rejected. They had to go through too much just to get to where they are for someone to come in and say, we're taking it. Go for it, LAR.
I'm just saying this and I'm done. Pay attention to the people who want you to do it for the mothers in the community, because you never ask the question, well, what did you do for your mama since you so mother oriented? 9 times out of 10, not that much, because they probably living with
Leave
Wow.
them.
So they paying the rent.
They feel guilty for saddling their mom with this heavy burden, and they're like, it's just projecting it out there in the world. But I don't know if Uncle Stu, if you had anything else to say to kind of.
Nah, I'm good. GC is in the building. I gotta go get my
GC's in the building. You showed up at the end here. This is your topic.
Up, me and GC, we team now. I got a shirt that got the same logo that he got on his. So I'm team GC now.
Supposed to be telling us the price of stoves and stuff, ain't you, GC? But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, this was again great conversation, very active chat, asking the question, why are passport bros shamed, or people just jealous and bitter? Like, why do people have that much smoke for passport bros? They say that they're lame, that they're tricks, that they're ruining the business of dating coaches, perhaps. They're taking advantage of all the ashy foot and dirty footed women out there in the world, because once you leave America, everyone's poor and stupid. But we also give them their due. We talked about the community aspect of people having that community feeling. And a lot of times with most people, as a matter of fact, it's an uncritical feeling. In other words, they're not thinking, why am I keeping this person in? They're just going to crabs in a bucket you, right? And then that definitely freedom of choice, expanding your horizon. Uncle Stu talked about learning about the world, even if it's just for your own personal education, edification, self-esteem reasons, whatever it may be, right? Learning new languages, seeing how you're treated so that you understand more fully the richness of life out there and the opportunities and the chances and things that you could have. And this is a good thing. And that overall, you guys are not buying that, if people explore their options and practice competition, that it'll lead to the destruction of a community. Because as a matter of fact, if we take, the market analogy, competition is always pretty good, typically, except for as a business owner, you want to be a monopoly. Let's get this straight, right? It's because a lot of times people say competition is like no. Like, competition is great for the consumer, typically, okay? But if you're starting a business, you're not going where am I going to start an Indian restaurant in the place where I can find the most competition? It's like, no. That's not what you do. So typically there's two sides to the story. If you're a monopoly, you want to hold your power. Let's say, for example, you're in the community and you got power. You want to keep that monopoly. Competition is not good for you, but competition is good for the consumer writ large. So anyways, thank you, LAR. Thank you, Uncle Stu. Always a pleasure. Feel free to stop in. As you know, every Sunday you get the emails. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, we are out. Thank you again for those who super chatted. I think Hakeem and Young Grump earlier. I believe there was one more. But until next time, peace. We're gone.
the den of iniquity. Vicinity no pretty, calamity fi hit we any moment. What's a pity? Tomorrow never certain. What dwells behind the curtain? The face of evil smirking with that shifty eyes averting. It's not a steady bubble that either pop or topple. Many will fall and stumble. Let the dozers gather rubble. From LA to Colorado, Guinea to Burkina Faso. Cannons could breach the towers and the troops will storm the castle. I say, run, run, come, make we get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. So run, run, come, make me get it. Calling all your daughters and your sons, we come forget it. I say, run, run, come, make me get it. Because the peace that is bestowed upon the meek is overrated. Lord, run, run, come, make we get it. Calling all your daughters and your sons, we come forget it. With the rubble steady rising, and hearts are compromising. Convictions here are stifling, making evil appetizing. The fists are steady forming, and countenance is falling. Defenses are withdrawing, possibilities are falling. In these your circumstances, evil will make advances. Pick up your sword and lances, and be sure to take your stances. Victory is never promised, the battle is upon us. Gather the brave and honest, and the righteous in your corners.
Shatta, 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 watch the bullet, they must scatter. Hold up the light and spread the light with every word you utter. The matter to deliberate is how the youth them suffer. Inebriated of a cup of ignorance and squalor. Initiate the rhythm, put an end to all the schism. Aha, word them up, word them up, word them up, word them up, word them up. If you know a way for the youth to get a break, my brother, you should tell them. Because in the streets all they learn is the greed, the force and the rebellion. Ha. The stripes in the streets will attest to the strife. By the cold turnpike lays a bloody knife. So if you know a way to put an end to the fight, my brother, you should tell them. Tell them. Yeah, you and far between are times of peace and times of plenty. So frequent are the times that are ruled by grudge and envy. So many, many gather in their evilest assembly. Now it's trendy to be. Word them up, word them up, word them up. A lot